Oh, Commissioner. Hello, Counselor.
Good morning. I'm going to call to order today's public meeting of March 27th, 2018, meeting of the Arapahoe County Board of County Commissioners. To my left is Robert Hill, Senior Assistant County Attorney. To my far right is Jolene Sanchez, the Assistant Clerk to the Board. Ms. Sanchez, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Jackson?
Here.
Commissioner Holland?
Here.
Commissioner Sharp?
Here.
Commissioner Conti? Good morning. Commissioner Baker?
Here. Thank you very much. Commissioner Jackson, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Hill, are there any modifications to the agenda this morning?
There are no modifications to the agenda.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Conti, seconded by Commissioner Holland. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. We have two ceremonies this morning. This is always good. What's that? No, not on my agenda. Okay. We have two ceremonies this morning. The first is presentation of the American Public Works Association Accreditation Award. And this is something that we've been hearing about for quite a while, and the fact that our Public Works and Development Department went through a rigorous process to become accredited. It's a prestigious award of this accreditation. APWA, the American Public Works Association Accreditation Program, recognizes public works agencies that go beyond the requirements of management practices established nationally in the public works industry, and also that follows adherence to the standards in APWA's Public Works Management Practices Manual. Our Public Works Department initially applied for accreditation in March 2017. So we're happy to have here a representative of APWA Region 9, I believe, or Region 2. Region 9? 9. Dan Hartman will come forward with Dave Schmidt, our Public Works Director. Welcome, Mr. Hartman. And if you'll make sure the microphone is working there, you may need to adjust that so that you can be...
Okay, good.
Excellent. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here. As a board member for the American Public Works Association, this is one of the coolest things I get to do. Go recognize organizations that are truly outstanding and professional. APWA is the largest professional organization for the public works industry, and accreditation is a program that was started actually in the very late 90s. We have a few distinctions. The very first accredited agency nationally was City of Greeley, and that was back in 1997 or 8. One of the other things that's kind of cool is the state of Colorado has more accredited agencies than any other state per capita. But, California, they got too dang many cities. But nearly 20% of the citizens of the state of Colorado live and are streets, water, all that maintained by accredited agencies, and that is by far the greatest. So good, I guess, good for us. The accreditation process has a series of best practices, and through these practices, depending upon what your agency is responsible for, because some are water, wastewater, streets, some are street, so it's all over. But the practices that apply, you have to demonstrate that you have a program, a plan in place that's proficient, that you're proficient in that. It doesn't tell you how you should do it. It just tells you you need to do something. And so for Arapahoe County, you had 315 of these practices that apply. And you were 100% compliant in all of those. And one of the extraordinary things about your folks, normally a agency would get, there's what they call model practices. And a model practice is, well, the way you're doing it is really top notch, and everybody should aspire to how you're handling this practice. Normally, 3-4 model practices is a really good review. The most I've ever heard of is your agency with 23. That is truly outstanding. So, on behalf of the 30,000 APWA members, our board of directors, our president, Bo Mills, I want to congratulate Dave, Brian, the rest of the staff, and particularly Arapahoe County for your commitment to excellence and excellence for your citizens. And so it is my pleasure to present your APWA accreditation.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Hartman. Dave, Schmidt, our Public Works and Development Director. Would you like to? That is very
nice. Yes.
We must get a picture.
Yes.
I want to thank Dan for being here. I got an email early this morning. I don't know if it was why I didn't get it at the time, but it was like sent at like 12:30, saying he just landed at DIA, coming back from sailing off the coast of San Diego. So I met him this morning and I said, I'm really impressed at his commitment to come back from San Diego just for this. So, but really, thank you for being here, Dan. I want to thank the board for your continued support of our department, supporting this project. I think it has been a great journey for us. I think, as Dan mentioned, it doesn't tell you how to do it, but make sure that you are doing it and that it's documented and well documented. So we've done the first step in what is what we strive to do is continuous improvement and a relentless pursuit for excellence. That's what this is about. So this year we're going to begin developing business process improvement expertise within our department. Because of all these 320 practices, we've identified those that we think we can and should and will do better. And so we're developing the internal expertise to continually improve those. So we truly can be great. A lot of staff here. I want to thank all of them. This was really a huge effort, and it could not be done without a total commitment of the entire department. Many, many people who spent many hours working on these practices, and if they didn't work directly on them, they were probably covering the work for somebody who was. So everybody shares in this accomplishment. When we talked first about whether we should pursue this, I started reading some documentation, and it said one of the critical things is selecting and empowering a good accreditation manager. And I didn't have to think about that too long to know that that was Brian. And I asked Brian to come into my office, and I said, Brian, what do you think about going after accreditation, and I want you to be the accreditation manager? And so before he could respond, I told him thank you. And he graciously accepted after that. So I would like to give Brian just a few minutes. He certainly earned it and deserves it. So I'd like him to say a few words, and thank you again.
Thank you, Dave. Brian, come forward.
Commissioners, this is a exciting moment, huh? It's kind of like the Academy Awards, so I'll try to be short with this before the music starts to play and I have to get off. But I think Dave, acknowledged all the help that went into this. I was the lucky one. I was the one that was able to see the benefits of doing this. So again, I would like to thank the commissioners. You trusted us, you believed in us, and it was a tough journey, but we made it through. And thank you for that continued support. Dave, he believed in me and gave me this opportunity. And it was a journey. And it was a journey for our department, but it was also for me individually, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Judy is not here, Judy LeGrandy, but she was the go-to person. So I think we need to thank her for that, acknowledge that. Everybody that participated in this used her as the go-to person, the person that held us together as we moved through this journey. All the practice owners, the chapter owners, which were many, and they not only documented how and why they do things, they identified and thought about, how do I improve this? So it's that continuing effort. My family, I have to acknowledge them. They are not here. But my wife putting up with late nights, weekends, and holidays to get through this was huge. And it wasn't just this department. We had other supporting departments, some of which are here today, finance, the sheriff's department, too many to name that helped us through this, the attorney's office, Ron. We're all part of the success. And other jurisdictions that have gone through this journey. Dan and I had several meetings of how do we get through this? What did you learn for it? So City of Golden, Cherry Hills, Aurora, Arvada, all participated in our success. And we were able to learn from what they did. So I think that's a benefit. We have a history of meeting challenges in public works. And this truly was a challenge. It was a challenge of documenting what we do. It was a challenge of finding the time to do this, along with everything else we did. And I think having 23 model practices exemplifies the success that we can do. So with that, accreditation was the reward. But what came out of this? First and foremost, we have an operations manual. Second, we have that continuing culture of improvement and a culture of documentation. So now you'll hear people say, hey, maybe we ought to have an SOP for that, or we need a directive for that, or we need the board to give us some policy on those issues. So you'll be seeing more of this. When I talk about the journey that I had the unique opportunity, and that unique opportunity was to see the entire department and how the interaction relationships go together. And that is huge. And I don't think we've ever had that before. So for that, my journey helped me move forward and understand the department. This is a legacy. It's going to outlast those who participated in it. But it's only the beginning, as Dave talked about. And finally, I would be remiss if I did not give everybody that was involved, what? A dilly-dilly.
Thank you, Brian. And in a minute, we'll be taking a recess and going out and doing some photos. But I think it would be if we could combine the two ceremonies as far as the photo event afterwards, if that's okay. I have Commissioner Sharp first and then Commissioner Holland.
I just wanted to say how incredibly proud I am of all the work. And everything that you said, Brian, is so much to the point, and Dave, and your leadership is all important to get everybody on board. And I think it's pretty cool too that we are doing these things. And years ago, I heard from a mayor in a city in Texas, and he said, and it's something that really stuck with me for a lot of years, that if we in government don't do the basics well, our citizens aren't going to trust us to do other things that we may want to do beyond the basics. And I do think that public works is not something that people think about until they have the pothole or the snow plowing wasn't done the way that they thought. There are so many things that you all do that are so important to our citizens that they just take for granted every single day to make all of our lives and our quality of life so much better. So, and you definitely help us to have those basics done so our citizens will allow us to do other things too, not only in public works but across the county. So my sincere thank you to everybody for the work that you've done, and I really do appreciate it.
Commissioner Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have had the honor of working with Dave as the commission liaison for several years, and what people don't understand is that counties across the nation are responsible for over 60% of the road maintenance in this nation. There are over 3,000 counties, and I'm honored to be a commissioner on one of the best. We continue to exceed expectations in all our departments. This incredible honor and the certification process was a long one, was a hard one, and everybody on your staff, Dave, and Brian, had to put all their efforts into making this happen. But the pragmatic reality is that we already had a superbly run, managed public works department, and that's due to Dave, your insightful and detailed management of a vastly complicated department. I'm honored to be associated with such good people in this that work for us in this county. The level of effort that is exhibited every day is a shining example of how government should work, and it works for us, and I think this recognition only adds to the credibility of that statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Holman. Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. It's always fun when all the commissioners get to outdo ourselves for praise, but I think there's no higher praise than what Dave said a little while ago when I wrote it down, the relentless pursuit of excellence. And I think this accreditation shows that. I had the honor, as I've mentioned before, of being present when the accreditors announced the results, and they could not have sung higher praises. And I recall myself sitting with a big grin on my face, just beaming with pride at these hardworking folks. Several of them are here, of course not all of them, and knowing that no matter where you drive in Arapahoe County, wherever you are, whether you're walking or driving, Public Works has left their footprints. Public Works, figures out where the roads are, where the buildings are. They inspect the buildings to make sure they don't fall down. They do so many different kinds of things that, as Commissioner Sharp said, that we never see. And yet we do see them. They touch our lives every day. And it's the relentless pursuit of excellence that makes this county, again, as Commissioner Holland said, one of the best in the entire United States. We are all so proud of our Public Works Department, the individuals that work and dedicate their days and nights and weekends at times to this county and the citizens. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for all that you've done.
Commissioner Conti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to echo all the comments that my fellow commissioners have made. It is certainly an honor to sit before you as in the company of those that are in the pursuit of excellence. And I can say that in Broncos tradition, it is those who strive for excellence and continue to work on improvement, as Dave talked about, in continuing to work on process improvement in the upcoming years. And that is truly, I think back to our back-to-back Super Bowl champion Broncos in the close proximity region, and undoubtedly their legacy has also served as inspiration for you folks. And I thank you for what you have done. It truly does take a team effort, and I certainly recognize that. Not only great leadership, but those who are in the field making it happen and documenting and doing the necessary day-to-day work. So thank you again, and please know what an honor it is to be a part of such a small part of such an incredible team effort. Thank you.
And finally, my chance here too. I just want to say, Public Works and Development, you get it done. So we're going to give you a round of applause. Thank you. We have one additional ceremony, and then we'll be taking a short recess to go out in the hallway at our logo, where we'll have a lot of photo opportunities. I'd like to welcome this morning, for our second ceremony, Jennifer Ludwig, the Deputy Director of Tri-County Health Department. Jennifer, good morning. Come on forward. And we're speaking about accreditation today. We want to also congratulate Tri-County Health Department on their achievement of public health accreditation in November last year. It plays a crucial role, our health department plays a crucial but often unrecognized role in promoting and preserving the health of people and communities across the country, and especially in Douglas County, Adams County, and Arapahoe County. The purpose of the accreditation is to improve and protect the health of the public by advancing and ultimately transforming the quality and performance of health departments in the county, the state, local, territorial, and tribal. Their accreditation program provides standards and process that promotes ongoing quality improvement in public health departments. Good morning, Ms. Ludwig.
Good morning, and thank you. And first, congratulations to you and to your Public Works Department for achieving a accreditation. Standing here presenting our own, I can sympathize the amount of work and pain that you all went through, as we equally went through about 2 years of the same level of looking at our policies and procedures, and now SOPs and policies is just common language for us. So congratulations to you. It's truly an honor to be in front of you today to share with you our accreditation recognition. I first want to just introduce a couple of my team members who are here today. Becky O'Gwyn is our Strategic Communications Manager, and Matt Jackson is our Public Health Planner who has recently moved into this new position to be able to maintain accreditation, which requires annual documentation and reporting for the next 5 years until we go through reaccreditation. He will also be charged with strategic planning for our department as well as for the community, all things that we were recognized for with our accreditation process. So we are proud to share this accomplishment with our county commissioners and your staff, because it takes all of us to provide quality public health programs and services to our community. So national accreditation means that we meet or exceed the rigorous standards established by the nonprofit, non-governmental Public Health Accreditation Board. The accreditation process identified 98 measures that Tri-County was largely or fully demonstrated capability, and then two capabilities that were slightly demonstrated. It provides valuable, measurable feedback about how we are performing, which allows us to better protect, promote, and preserve our community's health. Accreditation can help Tri-County Health Department ensure that we are providing the quality services and programs that the community needs, and that we are spending money wisely. Especially in these tough economic times, we need to be very fiscally responsible and prudent with our existing resources. And this allows us to better plan and prepare for what we need and what our communities need. So Tri-County Health Department was recognized for our strong culture of quality improvement, comprehensive use of evidence-based practices and in our programs and strategies, and our strong relationships with our community partners, our boards of county commissioners, and the Board of Health. In Arapahoe County, we work very hard to keep restaurants serving safe food, protecting the air, monitoring for rabies and other health hazards. Oftentimes the work that we do goes silent. Not many people know that we are there until they need us. And we're quite proud to be in that backdrop. We actually don't want to be in that limelight every single day. Our partnerships in Arapahoe County help us to provide access to care, provide access to healthy eating and active living, promoting health campaigns that focus on smoke-free zones, coordinated response to the opiate drug overdose epidemic, and the reduction of stigma related to mental health issues. So on behalf of Tri-County Health Department, I want to thank you all for your many years of support and commitment to the health of the communities. And this is accumulated in the recent and important milestone. So we are proud to be delivering this nationally recognized public health service to all of you and to all of you. So thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Commissioner Holen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having worked with Dr. Douglas and the incredible staff at Tri-County Health, I want to thank them for their tenacity, their professionalism, and their deep concern for the health and welfare of our citizens in Arapahoe County. Several years ago, I asked Dr. Douglas if he could join a small task force group that we put together, including the sheriff, the coroner, and Kaiser Perrone was involved at that time, to kind of take a leadership role in the opioid crisis. He has exceeded my expectation in that process. The efforts of the Tri-County Health to educate, to address, to analyze, and to document the deep concerns that I have about the spreading opioid epidemic in our county. I want to thank the staff. I want to thank John, and I think this particular award shows that your heart is in the right place, compassion is in the right place, and the welfare and safety of our citizens is in the right place. And please pass that on to Dr. Douglas, and thank you and congratulations.
Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. There's so much I don't even know where to start, except that congratulations. We'll start with that. I know it's hard work. I was imagining while you were reading your thoughtful words that you were probably inspected just like you inspect restaurants and daycare centers, which I have had the pleasure of going along on a couple times, and they are quite detailed, and for that I'm very grateful. I also have the pleasure of, when I am out in the community at various meetings, I am often pleased to find that Tri-County Health is also there and working hard for the health and the welfare of our community. So you're very involved. You're a model health department, and we are proud to be partners with you.
Commissioner Sharp.
You know, there are so many things that I think in the last couple of years that, having been on this board almost 8 years, the partnership that we have now, as Commissioner Jackson talked about, I think could not be better. The participation, we just had our leadership workshop over at your office. I know, sitting on the Littleton Hospital board, how much they work with Tri-County on issues like drug dependency, obesity, and mental health issues. We share a lot of those in common, and you all are partners not only here in the county, but to a lot of different organizations, and particularly the hospital. I know how much it means to them. So I just want to thank you for the strong participation, and I know that it's just like Public Works. There are so many things that you all do, as you said, that nobody pays any attention to because they're done so well that people only complain when they find something that is going wrong, and fortunately that's rare. And really do appreciate it, and all the great work and the terrific partnership that we have, and I look forward to keeping that going. And it's nice to see Becky here, and having worked with you on from the fire department too. So glad you're staying with here in the county with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Conti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I just want to echo the words. You know, public health is something that is so important and yet is so easy to take for granted. And it's easy to take for granted because there are watchdogs that are out there that are doing everything in their power to sound the alarms. When we need to be concerned about obesity trends, they are the ones out there giving us helpful suggestions. Watch those sugar-laden drinks. When we are concerned about increasing cancer risks. They are the ones that are out there championing. These are the number one leading causes and what you can do in your life to help prevent this. And they are the ones that are out there doing that and helping us. And I do believe that we are able to take it so for granted because they do it so well and so seamlessly and effortlessly. Thank you again for all that you have done and that you continue to do. I appreciate the partnership that you have been on the opioid prevention project that I have been embarking on, and I look forward to a continued partnership with you. Thank you for being here to share with us this incredible honor.
And I'll just add comments that Jennifer, Matthew, and Becky, we know that behind you there's all the men and women of Tri-County Health Department that worked so hard on this. And again, we'd like to give you a round of applause. And we're going to take a short break for some photo ops, and we'll be right back.
There is one
Then we'll go back to the department. Yeah. More to come.
All righty, the board is going to be reconvening after our short recess. And that was nice to have those two ceremonies. I would entertain an approval of the minutes.
So moved.
A motion. Second. Motion made by Commissioner Holland, seconded by Commissioner Conti. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any abstentions or objections? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. That was approval of the minutes, correct? That was from I should have said, these are from the BOCC public meeting minutes from February 27th, and we did have a full board. So just saying for the record. This is the time when we open up the meeting for any citizen comments. If you're here to speak about anything that's not already on the agenda, please make yourself known to me. Any citizens here for comments? All right, seeing none, the citizen comment period is closed. We will go to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or discussions about anything appearing on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Holland, seconded by Commissioner Conti. All in favor, please signify saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. We have 3 public hearings this morning under our general business items. The first one is case number LDC 18-001, Amendment to Floodplain Management Regulations. Our presenter this morning is Sue Liu from the Public Works and Development Department. Good morning, Ms.
Good morning, Commissioners. Sulio representing Engineer Services Division for this case before you this morning. It's LDC 18-001 Amendment for Land Development Code for updated floodplain management regulation. The hearing was posted in the village on February 15, 2018. And the I-70 scale on February 13, 2018. What proposed here is an amendment to land development.
Excuse me just before you jump in, and thank you for reading the publication information. This matter is a legislative action of the board to amend the Land Development Code, and the board has jurisdiction to proceed. Has been properly noticed by publication.
Thank you, and my apologies, Mr. Hill. Continue.
What proposed here is an amendment to Land Development Code to update the floodplain management regulation. The floodplain management regulation has been required to be updated and revised by a federal emergency management agency to meet the minimum requirement of a national flood insurance program requirement. The proposed amendment will bring the county regulation into compliance with this requirement. The background of this case is the county has participated in this program since 1977, and as a participating community, the county is responsible to make sure the county's floodplain management regulation meet or exceed the minimum requirement of this flood insurance program. The map update process for this changes start on March 10, 2016. Basically, the FEMA presented a new flood insurance study for 4 major drainage ways in this case. Those drainage ways are Coal Creek, Corn Creek, Dutch Creek, and the Three Lake Tributary. The FEMA 90 days appeal process for the map update began in October 20th, 2016. FEMA did not receive any appeals on the proposed revision to the flood insurance study and to the base flood elevation during this time. And overall, the changes are very minor. We are changing 2 sections of the Land Development Code. One is Section 1-505, and the second is the Section 12-2005. We are proposing to changing the date of the effective map or studies from February 17, 2017 to a new date of April 18, 2018, which is next month. And we did not do a lot of referral on this case because we did a very extensive outreach program through the physical map revision. We sent the letter directly to every property owner impacted by the flood map changes. The updated map results in no additional structure map in those flood plan. There's 5 staff findings listed in staff report, and staff is recommending the approval to this amendment as well as the Planning Commission. I have a few slideshows can show you the limit of the study and some the revision information.
Thank you. Here. This shows the updated information, updated FEMA map. The down is the Is a pointer working? Oh, here.
here's the new FEMA maps. This one includes new 500 years floodplain delineation, which you probably look at it as a little bit light brown color. And also there are some changes to the base flood elevation if you compare to the old one down here. And this is another floodplain. It's a Cold Creek. It's the existing floodplain information. Again, here's the new maps. If you see a little bit comparison, and there's new floodplain information, and also there's some changes compared with two. That's what concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions? Commissioner Jackson.
It looked like in the first map, thank you for sharing those. They're a little bit hard for me to compare without an overlay or something, but are there homes in that floodplain along that creek?
Currently, there's few structure within the floodplain. I mean, it's
Structures being
currently there's I think it's a berm.
a barn, but not like,
It's an existing berm within the floodplain.
because it kind of looks like they're lots. That's divided into lots, right? But those aren't. Would that be that like people's backyards would get flooded if it?
Right. Probably portion of the lots are within the floodplain. Some of those lots, but probably structures not in. But I do believe I think in this area there's a berm currently within the floodplain.
And so one of the reasons this is important is because it affects people's ability to get flood insurance. And so if they didn't used to be in the flood zone, but now they are, if we update our code, can they still get insurance, or does it change?
For this revision, this study, the new map did not really result in any additional structure in the floodplain. I don't really know when the building was issued related to some of those lots, but the floodplain changes during the new survey information hydraulic analysis. There's possibility that at the time, the lot of property wasn't in the floodplain, but I'm not really sure.
Do the people that live in those houses get notified of the changes?
Yes, we're sending the letter to every property, which
with a map.
Yes, every property impacted by the map changes.
And do they get a copy of the map so they can see?
I believe we have all the information sent it to them with the new study.
Okay. I don't know that we can do much about that, but is there anything we can do to help those folks? I'm just kind of curious. I guess they knew they were moving in by a creek, so I don't understand.
Commissioner Chuck Haskins from Engineering.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to elaborate. Yeah, every property owner was sent a map showing the existing floodplain and the increase, or sometimes there was a decrease in the floodplain on their properties. They were also advised to contact their insurance carriers about flood insurance. Flood insurance is available for properties in the floodplain, and is because we are in good standing with FEMA, we have a community rating of 7. We get additional they get additional discounts for the programs that we have for flood insurance. So
okay, that kind of eases my mind a little bit. I guess when they moved there, they knew there was a creek there and that there's a floodplain there. So
yeah, not everybody knows that, but
people who did their due diligence, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. We don't always do that, do we? Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Holman.
Yes, I'm interested in knowing what criteria is used to evaluate the potential expansion or contraction of the floodplain. Is it environmental issues?
I think it's really
we have a new survey information. We have a probably better hydrology analysis. There's all the background information on how you determine the floodplain. That's why FEMA has their selected engineer firm to do all those studies.
So they've given you a form and criteria for evaluation, and then based on that, they approve or not approve the floodplain expansion or contraction.
In this instance, Urban Drainage hired a consultant that did an extensive survey of the property and estimated the hydrology, or how much drainage is coming through the creek. And so they create a 3D model of that. And so it's pretty precise, and that's how they arrived at this delineation. So what we were doing through the physical map revision is taking that FAD study, the Flood Hazard Area Delineation Study that Urban Drainage did, and making that the effective FEMA floodplain. So again, the FAD has been on the books since 2008. We're just now getting around to making that the effective floodplain through that PMR process. And the group of maps will have that new update of April 18th, 2018.
So this information will be used not only to inform the neighborhood of the potential hazards that they may have in living in certain areas, but more importantly, a planning tool for FEMA and our emergency management manager for the county to be able to assess resource deployment.
Right, and our own staff, our planning and engineering staff, when siting homes or developments adjacent to this floodplain. So we use that as a tool to make sure that we do not place any more development in a floodplain.
Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? Seeing no additional questions, thank you, Ms. Liu. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open up public comment. No one signed up to speak on this matter, but if there are any citizens that would like to address the issues concerning case number LDC 18-001 to amend the floodplain management sections of our land development code. Seeing none, I will close public hearing. Any further discussion or concerns? I will go ahead, Commissioner Conti. Do you want to use this?
Here it is. I can get it. In the case of LDC 18-001 concerning proposed amendments of the Land Development Code, Chapter 1, General Provisions, modifications of Section 1-505, Natural Hazards and Features Maps, and Chapter 12, Specific Regulations, modification of Section 12-2005.02, basis for establishing the floodplains and special flood hazard areas, to update the Arapahoe County, Colorado, and incorporated areas flood insurance study and flood insurance rate maps are prepared by the Federal Emergency Agency to the new April 18th, 2018 maps. The Board of County Commissioners has read the proposed code amendment and board summary report and has considered additional information presented during this public hearing. We find ourselves in agreement with the staff findings and 1 through 5 set forth in the board summary report dated March 7th, 2018, with the code amendment to update the flood insurance study and flood insurance rate maps as proposed, and hereby approve the amendment to Sections 1-505 and 12-2005.02 of the Land Development Code, with the following 2 conditions of approval. Number 1, all minor modifications to the text are required prior to incorporation into the existing Land Development Code. Number 2, the amended floodplain management regulations will be effective and integrated into the existing LDC on April 18th, 2018.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Conti, seconded by Commissioner Sharp. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, all who are in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. The next public hearing we have on the agenda is the adoption of the 2018 reappropriations. Mr. Hill, would you set the foundation, please?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. At the end of the year, annual appropriations expire and unspent balances revert to the unappropriated fund balance. It is necessary, therefore, to reauthorize expenditures which were authorized but unspent in a prior year. In addition, the board will need to designate the fund amounts to be committed for board policy reserves. The record should reflect that notice of two resolutions for the reappropriation of the unspent 2017 budget and designation of board policy reserves were published in the March 15th, 2018 issue of the Villager newspaper in accordance with requirements of the law. Therefore, the board has jurisdiction to proceed with this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Our presenter this morning is Jessica Savko, Budget Analyst 2 in Finance. Good morning, Ms. Savko.
Good morning. Before you this morning are two resolutions for amendments to the 2018 budget and to designate the reserves amounts for specific funds. The information was reviewed at the Reappropriation Study Session on March 13th, and it was recommended at that time all those items be brought forward to today's public hearing. I'll briefly go over the policy for the reappropriations and highlight the changes that have occurred since the study session. The reappropriation process reauthorizes the spending from 2017 to 2018 for departments and elected offices to complete projects that have to be for the originally intended purpose that they were not able to complete in 2017. Examples of those items are purchase orders that have unspent balances, fixed assets that have not been purchased, the remaining balances of capital projects, grants that are not on a reimbursement basis, and then the entire fund balance for specific funds. The amounts that are requested to be reappropriated cannot exceed the amount that was unspent for any specific department or elected office within a fund. Here on the left side, you can see what we reviewed at the study session. It's a comparison in the general fund for each office and department of what was reappropriated in 2017 compared to what is being requested in 2018. On the right-hand side, you can see a comparison of what the requests were at the study session compared to what's being requested today. The only changes were a decrease to human resources of about $300 due to additional expenditures back to 2017. And then, as we mentioned at the study session, there was additional RISE revenue received in the Sheriff's Office, and that included an additional $413,000 that you did not see at the study session. In total, the amount being requested increased from the study session to today by about $413,000. The total amount being requested is not quite $2.1 million. Here you can see all the other funds. To the left, you'll see what was requested by individual fund for 2018 compared to what was reappropriated in 2017. And again, on the right, you can see the changes that have been made since the study session. As we mentioned at the study session, there was a shareback accrual that the accountants still needed to book. That has now been completed, so the amount for the open space sales and use tax fund has decreased by almost $6 million. Additional revenue was received in a few funds that increased their amounts, and that was for the cash in lieu fund, the sheriff's commissary fund, and the infrastructure fund. And then there were a few expenditures booked back to 2017 that decreased the total amount being requested for the central services fund. So in total for these other funds, the amount being requested decreased by almost $5.6 million. When you include what was requested for the general fund, the total amount decreased by about $5.2 million. The total amount being requested is now $78.1 million. There is also an additional resolution for the amounts to be set aside for the reserve for specific funds that require those. The general fund has a policy reserve of 11%, and that does include the 3% TABOR reserve. That amount for 2018 is $19.5 million. The social services fund has a policy reserve of 20% of the county's portion of that operating balance, and for 2018, that's $2 million. The road and bridge fund and ALEA fund both have a requirement of 1/6 of their operating budget. For 2018, the amount for the Road and Bridge Fund is $2.7 million, and for ALEA, it's $1.4 million. And that is all the information I have for you. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Ms. Safkopo? Seeing none, thank you very much. This is a public hearing for adoption of the 2018 appropriations. It's going to open up for public comment. Are there any citizens that would like to address the board on this issue? Seeing none, public comment period is closed. Any further discussion or questions? If not, I move to adopt the supplemental appropriation resolution for the 2018 reappropriation of funds from budget year 2017, as well as a resolution to designate fund balance policy reserves that were presented to the board at a study session on March 13th, 2018, and brought forward for today's public hearing for formal adoption.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker.
Second. Let me turn my mic on. That's a second.
Motion made by Commissioner Baker and seconded by Commissioner Sharp. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all who are in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jessica. The third public hearing today is case number P17-003, Popeyes Louisiana Restaurant Final Development Plan. Mr. Hill, would you please set the foundation for this case?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an application for a final development plan. It has been noticed by publication in the Villager, posting of the property and mailing to adjacent property owners of the notice. The board has jurisdiction to proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Our presenter this morning is Bill Skinner from the Planning Department, Planning Division of Public Works and Development. Good morning, Mr. Skinner.
Morning, Commissioners. P17-003 is, as the title implies, it's Popeyes Louisiana Restaurant. The proposals for Tract A of the Central Park Shopping Center. Central Park Shopping Center is located northeast of the intersection of Quebec and Iliff, over on the western edges of what the county refers to as the 4 square mile area. The FDP itself proposes just about a 2,300 square foot building on a 1.15 acre lot. It'll have the restaurant drive-through parking that serves this particular installation and landscaping as appropriate. The county staff finds they've satisfied the requirements required for an FDP. In this case, I want to go a little bit into the background of the PDP. Central Park has been around since the 80s as a shopping center. I believe this is the last, now we would call them pad sites on that PDP. It was called Tract A. Technically, it constitutes an individual lot. This is the last one that's up for grabs there. That shopping center has managed now for 30 years to ride the highs and lows of the economy, and the ownership that holds it now speaks with staff regularly. They're actively engaged in finding ways within its capacity to improve it and make it a more viable going concern. Staff thinks this final piece of the puzzle will help. The outreach that Bob mentioned covered all the surrounding properties, including a couple apartment buildings that are across the jurisdictional boundary in City County, Denver. Didn't hear a single negative comment back from the public on this, or neighbors, citizens, so forth. We had 2 concerns. One came from Cunningham Fire District that remains as a condition, largely for documentation. They have satisfied the fire district's concerns. There was a additional concern noted in condition of approval 3 from Xcel Energy. They have a transmission line easement across, though technically over this property, and Popeye's the development, Tim, who's here with Popeyes, has been in touch with Excel, and Excel has gotten back a hold of me and said, yeah, their building's not in our easement. We're fine with this. So, short of belaboring the process or going into it, I think we're down to the point where I say staff is recommending approval. Planning Commission recommended approval, 7-0. Public seemed in support. One informal anecdotal piece of information I got is when CDOT responded to this, they basically said, yeah, we have no jurisdictional issue with this, but we will probably eat lunch there a lot if it gets approved. That was kind of new, and I was worth a laugh. And that's what I've got. I mean, it's a quick staff presentation. I can take questions. Tim is here if you'd like to talk to him.
Commissioner Jackson.
We need to do that for CDOT because they did put the cut in front of the sheriff's office for us, so we need to do something for them. I'm just, I understand the shopping center, I understand the project, all that. I agree it's a good fit for that area. My question is about Cunningham, since they are no longer Cunningham. Are we going to have to check the South Metro, or is that just a linguistic thing? I mean, that was really my question.
Fair question. This project spanned the changeover, and staff accommodated that on the fly. We've had this through first Cunningham's staff, and then it was passed over to Amanda Sevilla in South Metro. So all the staffs are coordinated, and it is now, you know, if I had to make a phone call on this today, I would call South Metro. They'd be aware of it. They've seen it.
Should we, and maybe this is for Bob, should we amend the motion to say South Metro then?
Seems like it's fair. The correspondence came back from Cunningham as the functional entity on their letterhead, but given that all their duties, assets, and operations have been folded into South Metro, I mean, you'd probably go either way with it.
I think Mr. Hill can give us some guidance.
I think just putting it on the record that it's now South Metro, that South Metro has looked at the referral, and at least as part as it, when it was Cunningham replied, if I understand what you said before, South Metro's fine with it, as was Cunningham.
We actually resolved the issue under Cunningham's jurisdiction, I think, but absolutely touched base with South Metro to make sure they were fine with it.
I think leaving it as Cunningham's probably appropriate, just since they signed the letter. But I think it's on the record that South Metro has reviewed it and apparently had no concerns. Further concerns, I guess I should say.
And a key thing to remember is even though the organizational structure has changed, the person who reviewed this for Cunningham works hand in hand with the person who's now in charge of all the reviews at South Metro. So there's definitely internal communication going on that spans the incorporation.
Mm-hmm. Any additional questions for Mr. Skinner or for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Skinner. I'm going to open up public hearing, public comment on this hearing. If there are any citizens that would like to address the Board of County Commissioners on this matter, please make yourself known. Seeing none, I'm going to close public comment and ask for a motion. Commissioner Jackson.
Thank you. Yeah, as I mentioned, I think this is an appropriate use for that corner, and I wish them good luck in their future prosperity. So, in the case of P17-003, Popeye's Louisiana Restaurant FDP, I have reviewed the staff report, including all exhibits and attachments, and have listened to the applicant's presentation, and any public comment is presented at the hearing, and hereby move to approve this application based on the findings in the staff report. subject to the following conditions. 1. Prior to signature of the final copy of these plans, the applicant must address Public Works staff comments and concerns. 2. The applicant will address Cunningham Fire Protection District concerns. And 3. The applicant will address Excel Energy Company concerns.
Motion made by Commissioner Jackson. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Holland, I'll accept your second, and so the matter has been duly motioned and seconded. Any further discussion, comments, questions? Commissioner Holland.
Since we have an LSU graduate, welcome to the county.
Thank you, Commissioner Holland. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Seeing none, that motion passes unanimously. Are there any commissioner comments this time? Commissioner Sharp.
One. I just wanted to send the best wishes from our board to Aurora Mayor Hogan, who this week announced that he has some health issues. So I just wanted to make sure that our citizens send all their best wishes to Mayor Hogan, and that we're thinking and praying for his recovery. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sharp. Any additional comments? If not, this meeting is adjourned.